Before you even knew it, fear became a constant companion. Not the roaring, obvious fear, the kind that makes your heart pound in a sudden moment of danger, but the quiet, insidious kind. It is that persistent hum beneath the surface of everyday life, a subtle anxiety that colors your decisions, shapes your outlook, and sometimes, without you even realizing it, dictates your entire rhythm. It is the what if that keeps you up at night, replaying scenarios, imagining outcomes you desperately want to avoid. It is the shadow of doubt that dims your brightest days, making you question your capabilities, your worth, your very purpose. It is the feeling of being adrift in a vast, unpredictable world that constantly demands you prove your worth, that you measure up, that you keep pace, that you somehow manage to navigate its complex currents without ever revealing a moment of weakness. Think about it. How many times have you hesitated not because of a clear and present threat, but because of an imagined future failure? How often has the desire for certainty paralyzed you, preventing you from stepping out, from taking that leap, from truly living? This pervasive unease is an epidemic, silent and often unacknowledged, yet it saps our energy, stifles our creativity, and keeps us from experiencing the fullness of life we were designed for. It whispers in moments of solitude, amplifying insecurities, suggesting you are not enough, that you are alone, that you cannot overcome what lies ahead. It subtly distorts our perception of ourselves, of others, and even of the world around us, painting everything in shades of gray, making opportunities appear as insurmountable obstacles. You might have tried to fight it with logic, with positive affirmations, with endless self-improvement strategies. You might have sought answers in fleeting distractions, in temporary escapes, in the clamor of constant activity designed to drown out that inner whisper. And perhaps, for a moment, you found some respite. But the underlying current of anxiety, that fundamental fear, often remains, a stubborn anchor holding you back from truly soaring. We live in a time saturated with information, yet starved of true inner peace. We are told to be strong, to be resilient, to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, but rarely are we shown where to find the source of that strength, where to anchor that resilience, where to draw the courage that does not deplete but perpetually renews itself. This is not a criticism but an observation, a shared human experience that binds us all. We all, in some measure, wrestle with this silent foe. But what if the most powerful answer to these hidden fears is not just another strategy or a contemporary self-help mantra designed for transient relief, but an ancient declaration of radical courage, a timeless truth that many of us have misunderstood, perhaps even overlooked in its full, majestic scope? What if the very words we think we know, the verses we may have heard since childhood, hold a depth of power we have yet to truly grasp, a latent force waiting to be unleashed within you? We often approach spiritual texts seeking comfort, a soothing balm for our troubles. And Psalm 27 certainly offers comfort, profound comfort. But to reduce it merely to a gentle assurance, a quiet lullaby for the anxious soul, is to miss its most potent, most revolutionary message. What if Psalm 27 is not simply a quiet prayer for peace, but a fiery proclamation of absolute, unshakable defiance in the face of everything that seeks to undermine your spirit, your hope, your very existence? What if it is a blueprint for living not without fear, but beyond it? A bold stand against the tides of doubt, against the accusations of the enemy, against the perceived limitations of your circumstances, transforming them into springboards for deeper faith and resilience. This psalm, often recited in moments of quiet reflection, was forged in the crucible of intense personal danger and public scrutiny. It is not a naive wish for tranquility, born of idealism, but the fierce conviction of a soul utterly confident in its divine protector, even when surrounded by visible threats, by overwhelming odds, and by invisible anxieties that gnaw at the edges of one's peace. It is an invitation to shift your perspective entirely, to move from reacting to fear with trepidation, to proactively declaring a different reality rooted in an unwavering trust. It challenges you to look at your challenges, your uncertainties, your what-ifs, not from a place of vulnerability and perceived weakness, but from a position of profound, unshakable strength, derived from a source far greater than yourself, a strength that empowers you to stand firm, regardless of the storm. We are about to embark on a journey through this remarkable psalm, peeling back layers of common interpretation to uncover its raw, untamed power. We will discover why its message of courage is more vital now than ever, in a world that constantly tests our resolve, and how embracing its deeper truths can fundamentally alter your relationship with fear, transforming it from a relentless master into a mere shadow easily dispersed by an internal light that shines with divine brilliance. Are you ready to see Psalm 27 not just as words of solace, but as a living manifesto for an unyielding spirit, a practical guide to spiritual fortitude? Are you prepared to embrace a defiance that springs not from your own fleeting strength, but from an eternal wellspring, a wellspring of grace and power? This is not just a study. It is an invitation to profound, life-altering transformation. It is a call to reclaim your inner peace, to rediscover an indomitable spirit that already resides within you, waiting to be awakened by the timeless wisdom of this ancient text. Many of us, when we encounter Psalm 27, often read it through a lens of gentle piety, picturing King David quietly praying in a serene garden, seeking comfort from God. We imagine it as a soft whisper, a solace offered to a troubled soul. But what if this perception, while beautiful, misses the very essence of its power, diminishing its radical, unyielding spirit? What if we have been reading it, in a profound sense, wrong? To truly grasp the heart of Psalm 27, we must strip away the idealized imagery and see David not just as a king, or even a shepherd boy with a harp, but as he truly was, in the moments when these words were likely forged. A seasoned warrior, a hunted man, a leader constantly facing betrayal, conspiracy, and existential threats. This was not a man hoping for peace from a safe distance, but a soul declaring it from the very epicenter of active conflict. Consider the reality of David's life. This was the man who faced Goliath, a battle not of diplomacy but of brute force and unwavering faith. He spent years as a fugitive, hiding in caves, constantly evading King Saul's relentless pursuit, his life hanging by a thread. He knew what it meant to be surrounded by enemies, not just metaphorical ones, but flesh and blood adversaries armed with swords and ill intent. He established a kingdom through fierce battles, led armies, and navigated the treacherous waters of ancient politics where alliances shifted like desert sands and betrayal lurked in every shadow. His personal life was marked by triumphs and devastating failures, by loyalty and profound treachery, even from his own son. This crucible of courage, these relentless pressures, these life-or-death situations is where Psalm 27 was forged. It was not born in a peaceful sanctuary or whispered during a moment of serene contemplation. It was carved out of the battlefield, whispered in the cold darkness of a cave, shouted amidst the deafening chaos of betrayal and conflict. This is not a gentle plea for safety. It is a battle cry of trust, an audacious declaration of faith from a man whose very existence was a testament to God's hand in his life. When David writes, "When evildoers assault me to devour my flesh, my adversaries and foes, they shall stumble and fall," he is not speaking metaphorically about minor inconveniences or abstract challenges. He is talking about real people with real weapons, seeking to end his life. He has known the taste of fear, the chill of isolation, the weight of responsibility for an entire nation. Yet in the face of such overwhelming odds, his heart does not waver. This transforms the psalm from a simple comfort into a profound testament of spiritual defiance. It challenges us to look at our own enemies, whether they are daunting circumstances, toxic relationships, crippling anxieties, or even our own self-doubt, and ask ourselves if we can muster a similar, unshakable confidence. Can we declare with David, "Though an army encamp against me, my heart shall not fear"? This recontextualization is vital because it shifts our understanding from passive reception of comfort to active engagement with radical courage. It asks us to consider what kind of faith it takes to utter such words when the very ground beneath your feet is shaking, when your life is genuinely on the line. It's a faith that doesn't ignore danger but transcends it, a trust that doesn't deny the existence of evil but proclaims a greater power at work. This is the distinction we so often miss. We look for comfort from our fears, but David found courage within his fears, recognizing that his ultimate safety and source of strength lay not in the absence of threat, but in the unwavering presence of God. This psalm becomes less about an escape from reality and more about finding a profound, unshakable anchor in the midst of its harshest storms. It reminds us that our faith is not merely a shield against life's blows, but a sword forged in the heat of battle, capable of cutting through the darkest shadows. What are the armies encamping against you in your life right now? Is it a financial crisis, a health struggle, a fractured relationship, or perhaps a deep-seated insecurity that constantly gnaws at your peace? This psalm does not offer platitudes. It offers a blueprint for how to stand firm, how to find your voice, how to claim your ground even when every fiber of your being wants to retreat. It calls us to embody David's radical trust, to declare our allegiance to a power greater than any challenge, transforming our whispered prayers into shouts of victory born from tested faith. This is the essence of the Davidic paradox, a warrior's creed, not a whispered prayer, yet deeply spiritual, profoundly intimate, and utterly transformative. We have talked about the crucible where Psalm 27 was forged, seeing David not as a passive recipient of comfort, but as a warrior forging a battle cry of trust in the midst of genuine peril. Now, let us move from the battlefield to the inner chamber of the soul, because even amidst external chaos, David's heart held a singular, profound focus. He declares, "One thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple." This is not merely a poetic utterance. This is a revolutionary statement, a radical act of prioritization in a world much like our own, that constantly bombards us with 1,000 demands, 1,000,000 distractions, and an endless array of competing desires. In an era of hyperconnection, infinite choices, and the relentless pursuit of more, David's one thing is nothing short of audacious. We are conditioned to chase goals, to tick off items on endless to-do lists, to accumulate possessions, knowledge, and experiences, believing that satisfaction lies in the sum of these parts. Yet David, facing literal life-or-death situations, cuts through all the noise, all the urgent demands of kingship and warfare, and declares a singular, overriding desire. He is not saying, "I want victory," or "I want safety," or "I want power." His deepest yearning transcends all of these temporal things. He says one thing, "This only do I seek." It forces us to pause and deeply reflect. What is our one thing? If we were to strip away all the expectations, all the societal pressures, all the fleeting desires that clamor for our attention, what would remain as the absolute, non-negotiable priority of our soul? This verse presents us with a kind of spiritual GPS. Think about it. When you set a destination in your car's navigation system, it recalculates every turn, every detour, every traffic jam, always guiding you back to that one chosen point. David's one thing functions precisely this way for the soul. It is the unwavering destination, the ultimate purpose around which all other aspects of life are to be oriented. It is not about doing more or having more, but about being more rooted, more centered, more aligned with the divine presence. The world tells us to multitask, to juggle, to optimize our time for maximum output. David invites us into a radical simplicity, a singular focus that paradoxically brings order and meaning to the very complexities we find overwhelming. What does it truly mean to dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life? This is not about a physical building, an architectural structure you visit on Sundays. David, remember, was often on the run, in caves, on battlefields. The house of the Lord he speaks of is a continuous, intentional orientation of the heart towards God's presence, regardless of physical location. It is a state of being, a conscious decision to make his presence your habitat, your sanctuary, your constant companion. It is carrying that sense of divine intimacy with you, whether you are in the quiet of your room, the bustle of your workplace, or the chaos of unexpected challenges. It is allowing your spiritual GPS to constantly recalibrate your direction, ensuring that every thought, every decision, every interaction, however small, is ultimately pointing you back to that central, divine dwelling place. This concept challenges the modern inclination to compartmentalize faith. We often relegate spirituality to specific times or places, treating it as a separate activity rather than the foundational current that flows through every moment of our existence. David's one thing calls for an integrated life, where the sacred and the secular merge, where every breath is an opportunity to dwell, to gaze, to seek, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord. What kind of beauty is this? It is not merely aesthetic beauty, but the intrinsic beauty of His character, His goodness, His justice, His mercy, His unfailing love, His profound wisdom. It is the beauty found in understanding His design, His purposes, His intricate work in the world and in our own lives. It is a deep, contemplative seeing, an active appreciation that transforms our perspective and reminds us of His sovereignty, even when circumstances seem chaotic, and to seek Him in His temple. Again, not just a physical structure. The temple represents the place of communion, of encounter, of drawing near. It implies an active pursuit, an ongoing hunger for deeper understanding and closer relationship. It is an acknowledgement that spiritual growth is not static, but a dynamic journey of continual seeking, continual discovery. This one thing is therefore both a settled state of dwelling and an active pursuit of deeper intimacy. It is having your anchor firmly dropped in His presence, while simultaneously allowing the currents of desire to pull you ever closer to Him. Now let me ask you with complete honesty to consider this profound question for yourself. If you had to pick one thing that truly mattered above all else, one singular desire that would shape every decision, every priority, every moment of your life, what would it be? And does your life, as it stands right now, reflect that priority? Is your spiritual GPS set to that ultimate destination? Is your daily rhythm, your time, your energy, your focus, actively aligning with that singular pursuit? This is not about judgment, but about honest reflection, an invitation to realign, to recalibrate, to rediscover the radical simplicity and profound power of having a one thing that anchors your soul in an ever-distracting world. This radical focus is the bedrock upon which genuine, unshakable courage is built, preparing us for the deeper revelations of His light, salvation, and stronghold. We have spoken of the silent epidemic of fear and the radical courage of David, a warrior whose one thing was an unwavering pursuit of God's presence. Now, let us turn to the very heart of Psalm 27, to those powerful, often recited lines that declare, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid?" These are not mere poetic metaphors or comforting sentiments to be whispered in times of trouble. No, these are active, dynamic forces that, when truly embraced, profoundly reshape our inner world and empower us to stand unshakably in the face of any storm. They are an unveiling of divine power, a blueprint for transforming fear into fortitude. First, let us explore this concept of the incendiary light, beyond knowledge to exposure. We often think of light as something that merely illuminates our path, showing us where to go, a helpful guide in darkness. And it is that, certainly. But the light David speaks of, the light of the Lord, is far more incandescent, far more transformative. This divine light does not just gently reveal a direction. It exposes, it purifies, it brings into sharp relief every shadow lurking within the hidden corners of our own hearts. Think of it not just as a lamp, but as an MRI for the soul, revealing not only what is visible on the surface, but also the subtle anxieties, the unacknowledged doubts, the hidden resentments, the insidious fears that we cleverly conceal even from ourselves. It shines into the recesses where our insecurities breed, where past wounds fester, where limiting beliefs hold us captive. And it does this not to condemn, but to heal, to cleanse, to liberate. This light is incendiary because it challenges us to confront what we often prefer to keep in the dark. It demands honesty. What truths does this divine light want to reveal in you right now? Truths about your own strength, your own worth, your own potential, that you might be actively avoiding. What hidden fears have become so familiar, so ingrained, that you no longer even recognize them as fear, but rather as part of your identity? This light, from the very God who fashioned your being, seeks to expose these things so that they might lose their power over you. It is a light that does not just guide your steps but reshapes your very essence, inviting you into a deeper authenticity, a freedom born from radical transparency before your Creator. When you allow this light to penetrate, it doesn't just show you the path, it shows you yourself in a new purified form, ready to walk that path without the encumbrance of inner shadows. This leads us directly to the second active force: salvation's daily deliverance. More than a final rescue. We often conceptualize salvation as a one-time event, a past decision that secures our eternal future. And while it is undeniably that, the psalmist's declaration speaks of something far more immediate, far more present, far more dynamic. The Lord is my salvation. Whom shall I fear? This is a powerful statement of daily, continuous rescue, a present empowerment that delivers us from the anxieties of the moment, the tyranny of comparison, the crushing weight of past mistakes, and the oppressive grip of future uncertainties. It is not merely a promise of future heaven, but a present reality of freedom on earth. Imagine a pilot caught in a sudden violent storm. Salvation is not just the distant hope of landing, but the immediate strength to navigate the turbulence, the clarity of the instruments, the calm voice of air traffic control guiding through the chaos. In the same way, this daily deliverance is the grace to endure the unexpected twists and turns of life, the strength to forgive, the wisdom to discern, the peace to remain centered amidst external pressures. It is the liberation from the need to perform, to prove, to constantly strive for approval, because your worth is already secured in Him. This salvation is an active force, constantly intervening, constantly sustaining, constantly setting you free from whatever seeks to bind you today. How does knowing that you are currently being saved right now from the anxieties and pressures of this very moment fundamentally change how you approach today's challenges? Does it not offer a profound permission to release the burden you have been carrying, to lean into a strength that is not your own, and to face the day not with dread, but with a quiet, confident resolve? It transforms our perspective, moving us from a reactive posture of fear to a proactive stance of faith, knowing that deliverance is not just a destination, but a constant companion on the journey. And finally, consider the living stronghold, a fortress built of trust. A stronghold is not merely a defensive wall, a place to hide and passively await the cessation of hostilities. No, an ancient stronghold was a place of strategic advantage, a fortified position from which one could confidently engage with the enemy, a command center for decisive action. When David declares, "The Lord is the stronghold of my life, of whom shall I be afraid?" he is speaking of active confidence, not passive protection. This stronghold is where your trust in God ceases to be a theoretical concept and becomes your most impenetrable defense, yes, but also your launching pad for purpose. It is a spiritual fortress where you are not just protected from the battle, but empowered in the battle, equipped to face challenges not with terror, but with divine power and clarity. This living stronghold is built not of stone and mortar, but of unwavering trust. It is the deep conviction that because God is actively involved in your life, because His light exposes and His salvation delivers, you have an unassailable position. This is where you find the courage to speak truth in difficult situations, the resilience to persevere through setbacks, the wisdom to make decisions that align with your highest purpose, even when they seem counterintuitive to the world. It is a place of strategic rest and powerful deployment. How does moving from simply hoping that God will protect you, to knowing with absolute certainty that He is your active stronghold, your impregnable defense, and your strategic command center, fundamentally transform your actions, your decisions, and your outlook on life? It shifts your posture from vulnerability to power, from anxiety to confident resolve, knowing that every step you take is from a position of divinely secured strength. These are not static attributes of God, but dynamic forces actively at work in your life, unveiling a pathway to true fearlessness. We have journeyed through the radical courage forged in David's battles and the singular focus of his heart, illuminated by the light, salvation, and stronghold of the Lord. Now let us turn our attention to perhaps one of the most misunderstood yet profoundly powerful concepts within Psalm 27, a concept that often evokes images of resignation or passive idleness, when in fact it is an urgent call to dynamic engagement, the mastery of waiting expectantly. David concludes his psalm with a resounding directive: wait for the Lord, be strong and take heart, and wait for the Lord. What does it truly mean to wait in this way? For many of us, the very idea of waiting conjures up feelings of frustration, powerlessness, or simply wasted time. We live in a culture that champions speed, instant gratification, and continuous action. To wait feels counterintuitive, almost lazy. But in the spiritual realm, particularly as illuminated by David's own tumultuous life, waiting is anything but passive. It is, in fact, a deeply active, profoundly courageous, and ultimately transformative process. Let us be clear, this is not waiting for God to act while we sit idly by, hoping for a magical intervention without any personal engagement. That is stagnation, not spiritual fortitude. David, the warrior king, knew nothing of stagnation. His life was a whirlwind of activity, yet he understood that there were moments, often extended seasons, when the truest strength was found not in frantic exertion, but in what we might call the strategic pause. This strategic pause is not a cessation of activity, but a redirection of energy. It is a moment or a season of intentional discernment, internal fortification, and resolute expectation. It is about understanding that some things cannot be rushed, some processes cannot be forced, and some divine interventions unfold according to a timing far beyond our immediate grasp. When David urges us to be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord, he is giving us a vital instruction for how to wait. To be strong while waiting implies that waiting itself is an act of strength. It takes courage to resist the urge to control, to manipulate, to force an outcome before it's time. It requires immense spiritual muscle to trust when every fiber of your being screams for immediate resolution. This strength is not a brute force. It is an inner resilience, a steadfastness of spirit that remains unyielding even when external circumstances offer no immediate signs of change. It is the strength to hold firm to the promises of God, even when the evidence of your senses suggests otherwise, knowing that His timing is perfect, His plans unfailing. And what does it mean to take heart during this period of active waiting? This is perhaps the most profound aspect. To take heart means to fortify your spirit, to nourish your inner being, to intentionally cultivate hope and confidence. It means using the waiting period not as a void to be endured, but as a fertile ground for growth. It is a season for refining your vision, for deepening your understanding of God's character, for shedding anxieties that cling to you, for preparing yourself for what is to come. Imagine an athlete in training for a major competition. The waiting period before the event is not empty. It is filled with rigorous preparation, mental conditioning, and strategic rest. Every moment is geared towards peak performance when the time comes. Similarly, for the person of faith, waiting on the Lord is a period of intense spiritual conditioning, where our trust is deepened, our patience honed, and our character refined. This is why waiting is never stagnation. It is always a season of profound, often invisible growth. It is where roots go deeper, where resilience is forged, where the capacity to receive and steward God's blessings is expanded. Think of the farmer who plants a seed. He does not pull it up daily to check its progress. He waits, but his waiting is active. He tends the soil, waters the ground, protects it from pests. He waits expectantly, understanding that life is unfolding beneath the surface, preparing for the harvest. In the same way, while we wait for God's hand to move in a particular circumstance, we are called to tend our own spiritual soil, to water our faith with prayer and His Word, to protect our hearts from discouragement and doubt. This active waiting manifests in several powerful ways. It involves intentional reflection, not just about your circumstances, but about God's faithfulness in your past. Where has He shown up for you before? How has He delivered you from previous trials? Recalling these moments builds confidence for the present. It involves spiritual disciplines, prayer, meditation on Scripture, worship, not as obligations but as intentional acts of dwelling in His presence, as David's one thing reminds us. These disciplines are the lifeblood of active waiting, keeping your spirit vibrant and connected to the source of all strength. And critically, it involves mindful action in other areas of your life that are within your control. You may be waiting for a specific door to open, but are you tending to the responsibilities already entrusted to you? Are you investing in your relationships, growing your skills, serving your community? Active waiting means moving forward with purpose in the areas you can, while releasing control over the areas you cannot, trusting that God is working in the unseen. This is the strategic pause, not a lull but a time of intense internal work, a period of profound preparation for the breakthroughs that will surely come. It is about understanding that God is often doing His deepest work in us during the wait, shaping us, teaching us, empowering us, so that when the moment of action arrives, we are not just ready, but transformed. It takes a radical kind of courage to wait when every instinct urges you to act, to push, to control. But it is in this very act of courageous waiting, of being strong and taking heart, that we discover a patience that is not born of resignation, but of powerful, unwavering trust. This mastery of waiting expectantly is a profound lesson in spiritual fortitude, an essential component of the unshakable life David models for us, and it prepares us for the transformative power of perspective, where even our adversaries become catalysts for deeper faith. We have explored the profound depths of active waiting, understanding it not as a passive state, but as a strategic pause, a period of intentional fortification and spiritual growth. Now, let us pivot to a truly counterintuitive, yet immensely powerful perspective that emerges from Psalm 27. The radical notion that our enemies, our challenges, our adversaries, can in fact become catalysts for an even deeper, more resilient faith. David, the warrior king, spoke of evildoers assaulting me to devour my flesh, of armies encamping, and witnesses rising against me. For him, these were tangible, often life-threatening foes. But for us, in our contemporary lives, these enemies might take on different forms, yet their impact can feel just as profound. Chronic stress, a relentless inner critic, systemic injustices, profound grief, or perhaps the deep-seated fear of failure that paralyzes our aspirations. Psalm 27 does not offer a naive promise that these enemies will never appear. On the contrary, David explicitly acknowledges their presence, their threat, their very real potential to cause harm. What it does promise, however, is that even then, in the very midst of these encounters, David's confidence remains unshaken. His heart does not fear. This is where the power of perspective becomes revolutionary. Instead of seeing adversity as something to merely survive or escape, this psalm invites us to consider it as a spiritual accelerant, a powerful force designed to deepen our trust, sharpen our resolve, and clarify our purpose. This is the essence of facing the lion, how challenges deepen your roar. Imagine a lion. It is a formidable predator, a symbol of power and danger. Yet facing such a beast, if one emerges victorious, fundamentally changes the one who faced it. It builds an inner strength, a kind of primal roar that was perhaps dormant before the encounter. In our lives, our lions are the formidable challenges that test the very fabric of our being. They are the moments when our faith is not just theoretical, but powerfully tested and proven true. It is precisely in the presence of these challenges that God's light, His salvation, and His stronghold are most profoundly experienced, most vividly demonstrated. It is when the darkness is deepest that His light shines brightest. It is when we are at our weakest that His salvation becomes our greatest strength. and it is when we feel most vulnerable that his stronghold proves to be our most impregnable defense. This perspective shifts our internal narrative. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we begin to ask, "What is God seeking to teach me through this? How is he inviting me to trust him more deeply in this?" The challenges, the setbacks, the adversaries become less about punishment and more about refinement. Just as a blacksmith uses fire to purify metal, our trials, when surrendered to God, become the refining fires that burn away impurities, strengthen our spiritual core, and reveal a deeper, more robust faith than we ever knew we possessed. This doesn't mean we seek out suffering, but it means when it inevitably arrives, we can approach it not with despair, but with a profound understanding that it is an opportunity for growth, for transformation, for an unveiling of divine power within us. Consider David again. His confrontations with King Saul, his experiences of betrayal, the pressures of leading a nascent nation amidst enemies. These were not convenient circumstances. Yet, they were the very experiences that shaped his character, deepened his reliance on God, and ultimately prepared him for his divine purpose. Had he lived a life of uninterrupted ease, would he have composed such profound psalms of trust? Would his faith have been as resilient, as unshakable? It is highly unlikely. His enemies became the grindstone against which his spirit was sharpened, his faith solidified, his understanding of God's sovereignty expanded. Therefore, we must ask ourselves, how can your current adversaries, whatever form they may take, become the very catalyst for a deeper, more resilient faith in your life? Are you viewing them as roadblocks or as divine training grounds? Are you merely enduring them, or are you actively seeking the lessons, the strength, and the spiritual acceleration they are designed to bring? This is not about denying the pain or the difficulty of your struggles. It is about understanding that God does not waste our suffering. He can redeem every difficult experience, every setback, every enemy, transforming it into a powerful testimony of his faithfulness and a profound deepening of your own spiritual roar. Embracing this perspective allows us to move from fear of our challenges to a courageous engagement with them, knowing that even in the midst of adversity, we are being forged into something stronger, something more profound, something truly unshakable. We have journeyed through the battlefields of David's life, unveiled his singular focus, experienced the dynamic power of God's light, salvation, and stronghold, and even found purpose in the strategic pause of active waiting, learning how adversaries can become catalysts for our faith. Now, as we stand at the precipice of understanding, the crucial question emerges. How do we take these profound truths, these ancient revelations, and integrate them into the very fabric of our contemporary lives? How does Psalm 27 move from being an inspiring historical text to a living, breathing, unshakable anthem for your today, every day? This is not about a theological exercise. It is about practical, transformative living. Psalm 27 is not just a historical record of David's journey. It is a living declaration, an active blueprint for courage and trust that transcends millennia. It speaks to the human condition with an immediacy that belies its age, because the anxieties, the battles, the need for a sovereign anchor remain constant. So how can you truly make this your personal anthem, a melody of unwavering faith that resonates through every challenge and every triumph? It begins with intentionality, with a deliberate shift from passive absorption to active embodiment. Consider this. Every morning brings a new day, and with it its own set of knowns and unknowns, its own subtle anxieties and potential victories. What if you started each day not by reactively engaging with the world's demands, but by proactively declaring a truth that overrides them all? This brings us to the daily declaration. Choose a verse or even just a powerful phrase from Psalm 27 that particularly resonates with your spirit, that addresses the specific fears or challenges you anticipate. Perhaps it is, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" Or, "Though an army encamp against me, my heart shall not fear." Speak it aloud. Let the words fill your space, your mind, your very being. Do not just recite them. Declare them as a truth already established, a reality already unfolding in your life. This isn't a magical incantation, but a profound act of spiritual alignment, asserting God's sovereignty over your day before the day has even fully begun. It sets the tone, it establishes the perspective, and it grounds your spirit in a divine truth that stands unyielding against the shifting sands of circumstance. It is an act of proactive faith that cultivates an inner resolve, anchoring your soul before the day's currents can pull you adrift. Then throughout your day, even in the midst of its demands and distractions, introduce the one thing check-in. Remember David's singular desire to dwell in the house of the Lord, to gaze upon his beauty, to seek him in his temple. In our fast-paced, fragmented world, it is incredibly easy to lose sight of our core spiritual priority. So, pause. Take a moment, perhaps during a transition between tasks, or even just a deep breath. Ask yourself, is my current thought, action, or decision aligned with my one thing? Is this drawing me closer to his presence, helping me to gaze upon his beauty? Or am I being pulled away by something less essential, less eternal? This isn't about perfection. It is about recalibration. It is about gently bringing your spiritual GPS back to its ultimate destination, ensuring that even the most mundane tasks can be imbued with sacred purpose when viewed through the lens of your primary devotion. This simple check-in acts as a spiritual rudder, keeping your life's trajectory aligned with your deepest, most sacred desire, preventing the subtle drift that so often leads to feelings of emptiness or disquiet, reminding you of the profound fulfillment found in focusing on what truly matters. And finally, to truly live this anthem, embrace the stronghold habit. Psalm 27 declares the Lord as the stronghold of our lives. This is not a passive shelter, but an active refuge, a strategic position of confidence. Identify one specific fear, one anxiety, one overwhelming challenge that has been weighing on your spirit this week. It could be a financial worry, a relational conflict, a health concern, or even a deep-seated insecurity about your future. Now consciously, intentionally, place that fear into God's stronghold. Visualize it. Offer it up. Declare that because He is your stronghold, that fear does not have the final say. This is not an act of denial pretending the fear doesn't exist. It is an act of audacious faith, entrusting it to a power infinitely greater than your own. It is about understanding that while the emotion of fear may arise, it does not have to be the master of your actions or the director of your peace. When you make this a habit, you are actively choosing to engage with God's protective power, moving from a position of vulnerability to one of unwavering security, knowing that in Him you are safe, you are seen, and you are sustained. This journey with Psalm 27 is not about escaping fear entirely, because fear is an inherent part of the human experience. Rather, it is about transforming how you respond to it. It is about finding an unshakable anchor for your soul, a firm foundation of trust and courage. No matter how turbulent the storm rages around you, or how fiercely the inner tempests swirl. This anthem, when truly internalized and lived, equips you to face life not with trembling but with a deep abiding peace, knowing that your light, your salvation, and your stronghold are eternally secured in the Lord. It is a profound invitation to step into a life of radical confidence, one verse, one declaration, one moment of surrender at a time. We have journeyed together through the profound depths of Psalm 27, unearthing its radical truths that challenge our perceptions of fear, courage, and faith. We started with the silent epidemic of anxiety, moved to the warrior's creed forged in David's crucible of courage, embraced the revolutionary focus of his one thing, unveiled the transformative power of God's incendiary light, daily salvation, and living stronghold, learned the mastery of active waiting, and even discovered how our adversaries can become catalysts for a deeper roar of faith. We have understood how to make this ancient text a living anthem for your daily walk. Now, as we draw this exploration to a close, consider the profound impact these truths can have on your life. In a world that constantly shifts, that relentlessly demands your attention, and often threatens your peace, Psalm 27 offers something far more enduring than fleeting comfort. It offers an unshakable anchor for your soul, a spiritual bedrock that remains firm regardless of the storms that rage around you. It is a powerful call to courageous trust, not a blind faith that ignores reality, but a clear-eyed conviction that sees God's unwavering presence even within the chaos. It provides a blueprint for unwavering focus, teaching us that true peace comes not from eliminating distractions, but from prioritizing the one thing that truly matters, allowing His presence to be your ultimate sanctuary. And it holds within its verses a promise of enduring peace, a peace that transcends understanding, a peace that is not dependent on circumstances, but rooted in an eternal relationship. You are not meant to live a life governed by fear. You are not designed to be constantly buffeted by anxiety or to be defined by your struggles. No, you were created for something far greater. You were meant to live in His light, to walk in His salvation, to find your unshakable strength in His divine stronghold. This is your birthright, your inheritance as a beloved child of God. Allow this profound truth to settle deep within your spirit, to permeate every corner of your being. Let it transform your perspective, embolden your steps, and infuse your heart with a peace that the world cannot give, nor take away. Go forth from this moment not just with new knowledge, but with a renewed spirit, a fortified heart, and an unwavering trust in the one who is your light, your salvation, and the very stronghold of your life. Go forth with courage. Let your heart be strong, and may you always find your dwelling place, your one thing, in His glorious and unfailing presence. If this message has resonated deep within your heart, if it has stirred something within your soul, we invite you to engage further. Please like this video to help spread this message of hope and courage to others who are searching. Subscribe to our channel for more insights that aim to deepen your faith and empower your walk. And most importantly, share this video with someone who you know needs to hear this message, someone who is wrestling with fear, or who needs to rediscover the profound truth of Psalm 27. We also encourage you to take a moment and comment below. What is your one thing that Psalm 27 is helping you to prioritize today? Your testimony, your reflection, might be the very encouragement someone else needs. And remember, check out our resources in the description for a deeper dive into practical faith, tools to help you live out these truths in your everyday life.